be live.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests of Sasquatch Experience do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the hosts, sponsors, or affiliates of the Sasquatch Experience. As always, listener discretion is advised.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Does a legend walk among us, lurking in the forests of our world?
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my sensor light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. Looks like a man. I don't know what it was.
For over 15 years, we've talked with scientists, researchers, investigators, and witnesses, trying to gain insight and proof around the existence of this mysterious entity.
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Gia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Join us as we continue into the investigation of the Sasquatch Experience. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sasquatch Experience for Monday, September 16th, 2024. I'm Sean the Forkchop Forker, joined by James Baker, Vance Nesbitt, Henry May, and Matt Arner. Back after a few weeks, guys. It's good to be back. I know last week we were supposed to be on the air, but I was quite sick, and so was Bake. We went to the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure weekend on Saturday. What a great event that Eric Altman and everyone put together. How about it, Baker?
Yes, it was. I love the speakers. The food was good. 5 miles up a hill was a little asking for it.
Forget Sasquatch.
It's about a good event. The only problem we had was Sean realized now why I don't drive at night.
Yeah, I mean, it was
that's correct. That's it. Oh yeah.
Well, listen. I
Nope.
also got sick during the event, and I'm a bitch as it is on road trips, but you amplify me being sick and Baker not being able to see. Anytime he's asking me if this is the right exit, I'm like half paying attention. So I'm saying, yeah, just take the turn. So we take the turn,
dumbass.
And then, of course, it's the wrong turn. And so as we're going down, and this is where Baker's impatient, because as we're trying to get the GPS to reinitialize and reroute, Baker's driving all around God's green earth, not letting the GPS initialize. So I'm getting mad. And so any recording we were going to do went out the window. So I apologize to our Patreons. It was a good time, but being sick, I mean, you asked Bake. I went from being lively and bubbly to sitting in a chair for the second half of the day. It was just bad. It was bad.
But I want to admit, though, that I wouldn't have rode with anybody else. And the worst part was the couple days before, I had gotten some kind of problem with the trees and weeds and whatever. I couldn't see. Okay. No, my whole face exploded. This was the first day I could actually open my eyes 100%, and my night vision was just and we decided to take my truck because it was just going to be easier because Snuffy was going to look at my chainsaw. So yeah, we're driving around the middle of nowhere with some chainsaws in the back. It was so country.
And so we didn't get the recording we wanted to for everybody, so we apologize. But this week we leave for the Mothman Festival. Bake and I will be hitting the road Thursday morning, so get your lives ready. We'll be live and from the road, all in better health and looking forward to a great time this weekend in Point Pleasant,
Cool.
West Virginia. But yeah, again, we'll get Eric on here to recap the event. Rumor has it there may be another one coming for next year, which we're looking forward to. Always a good time to be in. You know, and that part of Pennsylvania is so rich with Bigfoot history, guys. So rich with it. Now, Matt, speaking of areas of Pennsylvania rich in history, we've got something coming up not this weekend, the following weekend.
Yes. On September 28th of this year at 2 o'clock at the Nelson Run Campground in Austin, Pennsylvania. We'll be doing a town hall. Myself, Sean, James, if you're available, if you want to come out, that would be great. We're going to do a town hall. We're going to go over some of the encounters and sightings that have been reported in the area, not just from BFRO, but from encounters that we got from speaking to people word of mouth, people that have posted encounters on Facebook in
Had
that
a new one
particular
today.
area. Yeah, we had a great one today, and it keeps going. And I'll go into that in a few minutes. But what we're going to do is we're going to meet at the they have a pavilion there. And we're going to meet at the pavilion. We're going to do a town hall, traditional town hall. We're going to initially talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about the experiences that we found in that particular area, and then we're going to ask the audience if they had any encounters or experiences themselves. Later on that evening, what we're planning on doing is doing a basic expedition. We're not going to go too crazy, but we're going to go up on top of the mountain. We're going to do call blasting, wood knocks, and in this area there have been encounters. So the BFRO, December 2022, in Potter County, that was literally 2 miles from the campground. So
Matt, I need to ask you, when you say you're going to do call blasting, are you going to do pre-recorded audio, or are you going to do your self-vocal?
Well, Sean, you think I should do my vocal?
Listen, I put Matt on vocals any day when it comes to. If you watch, I'm sure it'll be an upcoming episode of Beyond the Trail Bigfoot that we recorded with Alex for. You might get a sample of Matt's vocals, and I think it might have been on another hiking with Brian and Chewy. Yeah.
Yep.
You'll get a sample of Matt's vocalizations. And I'll tell you what's remarkable is, though I don't know if the video captures it, but when you're out there in that area in the middle of the night and it's dark and there's this overwhelming vista of the valley and Matt gets going, that sound travels, man. It permeates through those woods and it just goes for miles. And it's incredible to hear when it happens. You have to experience it.
Yeah, definitely. So if people want to come out, contact myself or Sean through Facebook or through the email. We're kind of putting this on at the last minute, but we're hoping that we can get more local people up there and also some people from the region. So we were just talking about the experience somebody reported on one of the Pennsylvania Bigfoot pages today. And this was something that happened this past weekend. Yeah,
very fresh.
Very fresh. It's in an area where I'm very familiar with. And I'm not going to divulge the exact location. I promised the person I would not do that. But I personally have been in that area. In fact, actually, it was funny. My wife and I took a hike in that particular area, and something was growling at us. I'm going to assume it was probably a coyote that we got a little too close to, but the trail that's up there, it's supposed to be like this nice, easy trail. It's not. Like, I love my friends in the DCNR with the state forest, but man, they let that trail down. It was really bad, but I have been in that area. It is a really good area. And on Sunday, I was actually out just on the other side of the river out in the Quahana and found a really good, promising area. But going back to the experience, the person had that feeling around 4:30 in the morning. He went to use the bathroom. And of course, if you're in one of the state forest cabins, you got to go to the outhouse. So he went to the outhouse. Yep. He went to the outhouse, had that feeling something was watching him. On his way back, he heard wood knocks. And basically at that point he got in and that was it. So, but the one interesting point is I replied back to the person saying, hey, get back to me and send me a message and we can talk a little more. And she did. And it was fantastic information. But on the thread itself, I had another gentleman from Elk County who was able to, I connected with. He hasn't had any experiences, but he does believe that there's something out there. He knows the area pretty much as I do. And then right before I came on, I had a lady from the area of Driftwood, which is not that far away and literally, pretty much right on the other side of the valley from where I was, that took photos of prints that she found in the snow in 2013 and just outside her residence. And looking at the prints there, sometimes I look at snow prints and I'm kind of like, I looked at these prints and these prints are pretty decent. So
I'd like to see those myself, man. I'd like to.
I saw that. So there's a lot of good stuff. So we're going to add those to the list as well. But everyone talks about the Allegheny National Forest and southwestern PA, but I'm really on this hook here that I think north central PA is really where it's at.
Well, right after we had that bad hurricane, I think it was in 2014, we got those really bad rains.
Yes.
And wiped out a lot of the roads up in northern PA. Again, kind of like what just happened not long ago.
Yes.
But Ray and I got stuck up on the mountain when we went to investigate that winter, got stuck. We had to walk 6 miles in a blizzard, literally in a blizzard. I'm not bullshitting anybody. And we came across this camping area, and just by the chance, there's a guy that lives out there all year round. Knocked on his door, got in there, got some shelter, made a call to my dad to come retrieve us. And as Ray and I are talking with him, he just what were you guys doing out here? We were explaining we were out there following up on a Bigfoot sighting and up on Old Route 14. Has something that comes around every year. They can bank on it almost like a clockwork at the end of summer. As you and I have thought for some time, Matt, that's when it starts to pick up into fall.
Yep.
And something took a full deer carcass off his back porch. It was hanging. Took it. Didn't drag it through the ground. Took it and made off with it off his porch. And that's not far from where our research area is.
It's called easy pickings.
Yep.
It is. But you have somebody that lives out there year round, again, in a very remote area of Pennsylvania, and these stories happen. And I know when, so guys, I read the feedback from our listeners now that we really get a good audience on Spotify, and they leave their comments and talk about how, sometimes we have this banter at the beginning of the show, and, if you don't like it, piss off, listen to someone else. But, the part of the reason why we have the banter is for this, right? This specific information. This week we had a lot of good information, mainly because we've been off, but Matt's doing a really good job collecting information for this town hall because it's an area of Pennsylvania that is really untapped. And if you go to any of our presentations, we talk about that, almost belaboring the point that up until recently, and I mean recent, like the last 20 years, there was nobody collecting reports up this way, or nobody doing a very good job of getting publicity of doing it. And as Matt has spent the time, and we've spent the time in these areas, people are starting to trust us, and they're starting to come to us with their stories and their encounters. And we need that, because we're working with a gentleman, and I actually got the first round of data that I'll share with you when we get together, Matt, from our friend. I'm not going to put his name out there because we don't have his permission. But the guy's a data analyst for a living, and he's been taking the work we've done and putting it in an Excel format and plowing through the data, and he's got the first round of results for us.
That's excellent. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm not going to say any names, but that was the person we met at the Central PA. Yes.
Right, Central PA Bigfoot Festival.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see what the result. He sent me the email. If he's listening, I apologize. I've not opened it yet because I want to open it with Matt and really get into these, really get into this. It's pretty exciting stuff. This guy, I don't want to give away what he does, but it's by the grace of some almighty, if you believe in God, or whatever you believe in, that this guy came to us and really wanting to bring the vision that I had, a shared vision back in the early 2010s. And he's actually making it come to life. So, we talk about the power of collaboration and the power of we being greater than the power of me, and all those other cliches you can think of. There's a lot of truth to that. And I'm really excited to see these results, man. Like, I so badly want to click it open, but I don't want to do it until we're together because it's the result of our work, not my work, our work. So I can't wait to get that to you, buddy. I can't wait. Now I've done enough, getting our listeners to salivate a little bit. We will share it once we go through it. Don't worry. It's exciting stuff. Henry, tonight's show is about reviewing On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients. Now, we were supposed to have Seth on last week with us, but I blew that for us and got sick. And we weren't able to get Seth locked down for this show. But Henry, why don't you kick us off with a synopsis of On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients, and then your impressions, and then we'll go from there.
Well, in my opinion, this is the Bigfoot documentary of 2024 so far. And really none have come close to this one, in my opinion. And I think it's also Seth's most personal documentary since his dad is in it. And his cousin as well. He has a cousin that's in it. And they go to Western North Carolina. They look into the legends from the Cherokees there. They interview witnesses. They team up with Russ Jones and Matt Pruitt. Adam Davis is in it. And it's really good stuff. It's very well done. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10. My review is on Amazon.
Wow.
He did.
It's on the Amazon page. So you guys want to check it out. My name on Amazon is HM2005.
Henry, how often have you given a 10 out of 10?
Oh, I've given 10s out of 10s to a lot of stuff, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
That way.
I'm a lot more discerning than Henry when it comes to my
right
rating system. Sorry, I'll edit that out. But, I'm always partial to when we go back to On the Trail of Bigfoot, the origins, when we go to British Columbia, because it was John Green that got me into this. So that one was probably really personal and touching to me. But I can see how Seth takes that personal journey for himself and his family story, his saga, and turns it into a great documentary that weaves the narrative through the activity that happens in the Smoky Mountains. And it's, again, as with most things Small Town Monster does, it's incredibly beautiful. Well done. But it's great to see people that aren't your typical talking heads and Bigfoot documentaries. Like, I can't tell you the last time I really saw Matt Pruitt interviewed for a documentary. I could be wrong, but a fresh take for me. Dr. Jones, who does, he shows up and has his own podcast and everything, but he always lends another air of credibility to the topic, right? Which is always needed. And then, there's also, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's talking about when he was out in the woods and he heard the whistling, and Henry was thinking of his father, and he got all misty-eyed, and like there's a lot of little emotional spots in the documentary.
Was that Jeff Carpenter by any chance?
Maybe it was Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
And it was touching, man. Like a lot of moments like that that were poignant, that really told. I'm bad with names, so thank you guys. Really told to me a great story. And of course, Mr. Breedlove. I met Mr. Breedlove at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference back when Minerva just started. And Mrs. Breedlove, sadly not with us any longer, but he was always such a good dude. And he is a good dude. We just saw him at Small Town Monsters. He was promoting the Ancients while he was there, had some great family mementos on the table, and you got to give that man credit. He had steam all day long. He went talking about the documentary, and to see him in it was really special for me because I have that connection with Mr. B, when he's working the table, helping Seth from Minerva, and he's kind of the unsung member of Small Town Monsters, like the literal founder of Small Town Monsters. And to see him in that was just really cool. And just the engagement with the family members. And of course, Mark Matsky. Does it get any better than Mark Matsky?
Yeah,
I'm a big Mark Matsky fan. And anybody doesn't like him, we'll go outside and fight. I'll fight.
Yeah, no, I'll give him a black eye. Yeah,
You're going to give Mark Matsky a black eye? That's not nice.
No. I'll give whoever oppones.
Oh, okay. Whoever oppones him. He's not going to get a chance. I'll rip him apart. I love Mark Matsky. What a genuine.
Absolutely.
Every time I get together with Matt, we just talk.
Right.
Or with Mark. Matt and I get together, we talk too. But anytime we get together with Mark, we just talk. And it's just refreshing. Refreshing. So Vance, and we'll let everybody, we'll talk into it a little bit more in depth, but I want to get your first opinion of it.
I was really taken back watching the Ancients and Matt Pruitt's take. And there was a couple things that Pruitt brought up that I have done myself in central and southern Illinois, that I thought I was the only one that would do this. But Pruitt said during daytime investigations, he would look for buzzards circling in the area. And then this is a daytime investigation. He would look for buzzards circling in the area because he figured there was something dying or soon to die. And he would make his way over to that area and see maybe if there's footprints in that area. I thought I was the only one to do that. So when I heard him say that, I got chills. I was like, that is amazing that he said that too, because that's a great aerial evidence that there's something that's gone down, whether it was taken by predation or is just a natural death, but you never know. And perhaps maybe you might find footprints in that area. Along with that, I would go back to Jeff Carpenter's audio recordings of the wood knocks that he captured, along with a whoop that you brought up, you brought up his, comment earlier, but his audio recording of wood knocks, very interesting. Now, when I started to watch this documentary, I really thought maybe this was going to go down the road of a Breedlove family history, and that's all it was going to be about. But I understand why Seth brought the whole family into this central forum to create this documentary. And I understood all of that. But when I first started to watch it, I'm like, is this all about the Breedlove family? No, it's really not. It's about the Ancients. And then the third point I would like to make, which I have heard on so many different interviews and different podcasts about what we have all talked about, the infrasound. And Adam Davies, who's part of the Ancients, talked about his experience of actually experiencing something like that, where he passed out from what may be the infrasound of this creature. And his explanation is completely fascinating. And again, it's Adam Davies, but that's who I'm speaking about. Well respected in the community, but you take it for what it is. Is this an infrasound thing? And you make of it what you want. But the whole documentary was, it started off a little slow because, like I said, I thought it was a Breedlove family documentary, but then it broke off into why it became what it is in that area. And when you look at the video footage throughout the film, you can clearly see this is a prime location where a creature that is undiscovered or theoretically undiscovered would live and thrive in these areas. It's just prime habitat. And I found that completely fascinating, and I was enthralled from the moment that the documentary started until the moment that it ended.
Yeah, and you know what? There was no secret that it was going to be a family saga.
Right.
Like, it was going to be a family story. And I think that's I'm a sucker for a good story, first of all. Like, if you really want me engaged, you got to tell me a good story. The pacing at first was a little slower than I like, but super good. I mean, as you start getting into the the familial connections, why he made it part of his family story, being told to watch out for the boogers in the woods, or what have you, like Mr. Breedlove, like it started weaving in, and it started making a lot more sense, and it was told super well. I did like how they kind of touched on missing people just a little bit, as we went down that expose, I think about a couple years ago now. Right. One of the things we found out about is that we could do show after show after show on missing people in the Smokies. And then they touched on feral people.
Yeah, but there's a show about that already, and it's 411. So
well, yeah, but you know what? I'll half of the 411's just becoming a bunch of overhyped bullshit. Why don't we get back to the actual things that we want to talk about, is missing people and its connections, not just making up connections to which side of the audience you're going to pander to.
Right. No,
based upon the conference you're going to be going to. Is it UFO? Right. Is it Bigfoot? Or we'll just keep it ambiguous and go back and forth whenever I can make money. I don't know.
True.
Just I'm in a mood tonight. We'll call it as we see it, right? Like, that's the problem. That's the problem I have. At least with Small Town Monsters, they stay to the straight and narrow. They kind of let you make up your own mind on it, or they don't go into it at all, which, hey, you know what? That's a great place to be. With all the bullshit going on in the world, do we have to add more bullshit to the Bigfoot world?
Right.
Like, that's my ask. And at least with a documentary like On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients, like, the bullshit's kept to very minimum, and
it is
a great story.
And I have to agree with that. It was kept very minimal, and all it's telling is a story of, hey, this happened. I can't say that it's fact, but I can't say that it's fiction either. And what do we always go back to? You can't prove that it's real, but you can't prove that it's not real.
Right. We got into a very interesting conversation with a relative last night. This is why we don't talk about, the missing people subject more. And, the problem I have with it is, you never know if somebody's family that is, traumatized by a missing person is listening to the show. And how you choose to be exploitive, makes a big difference. And it's a character move. And I know we've talked about it. We've made allusions in some cases where, we try to make connections to fit the ideas that we're trying to, perpetuate in the podcast.
Right.
But I think we've also done a very good job of saying we don't know, and it's potential, and we would never want to hurt somebody that was, either a victim or somebody related to somebody who suffers through one of these terrible tragedies. So I just want to put that side note out there.
Right.
And, when I think about how to do things tastefully, again, we go back to Small Town Monsters, and I always like to put out there, like, I'm a supporter of their products. I back every Kickstarter. I've been an executive producer for a couple of the films. Like, I believe in what they do. And we review the products. We review everything. And I believe, look, I'm not a woo person. And I gave A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot, I gave that a stellar review. I thought that was a documentary that addresses the paranormal Bigfoot topic and does it very well. Is it my cup of tea? No. But it's also not exploitive, and that's important. And when you're dealing with some of these topics, you could really go down that line, and it's distasteful, and I'm glad they don't do that.
Right. And that's one thing I have to say, because between you, Sean, and myself in private conversations, whether we've been together or even if we're on the phone, you're very honest about your take on the production that's put together, which is exactly what you're explaining on the show right now. There is no BS. There's no fog and cloud to try to give a different illusion of something to promote something. You've been very honest. I've been very honest about what it is that we see and what we take away from it. And generally, from what I take away from it, I walk out after watching this with a little bit more interest in the entire subject matter and want to have a little bit more motivation to, let's take a little bit further look into all of this instead of it falling flat on its face going, you know what, this isn't really worth it anymore. No, this keeps the entire subject matter fully in blossom. And you and I have both been completely honest about what it is we've seen and what we talk about in private with each other.
So when we talk about, the missing people topic, it's not new to On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients.
Right.
They've addressed it in many, and they've always done it tastefully. And I think I have to make that point known because it's just important to me that we recognize that. And I guess maybe I'm on that bend because I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately, and I just watched Chimp Crazy. Have you guys watched that at all?
Nope.
And it's worth the watch, if only to show you the batshit crazy people that inhabit this planet with us, and the lengths they'd go to, to be very selfish and make it about them. And while they're trying to say they're doing these great things for creatures, great and small, or the stories end up being about them. Mm-hmm. Whether you go to Tiger King or you go to, it's just so, it's fucking distasteful. And I have a hard time with it. I really do. Yeah. And when we have an opportunity to watch content that's really good and done in a way that isn't hurtful, isn't harmful to the topic, and treats people with respect, I think every time we have to jump on that and say so. And yes, we might have a personal connection, and yes, there might be financial backing, but damn it, I wouldn't back it if I didn't believe in it. Mm-hmm. And so just kudos to this team for that. And the guys, again, listeners, there's a lot of documentaries out there. I'm sure, just like many of you, you're documentary consumers at a rapid pace, like I am. It's almost a sad state of affairs that it's become. God, what was that show? Inside Edition, in a lot of these documentaries, and it's not the way. It's junk journalism. It's not. There's no story and there's no purity behind it. It's just exploitation, and I have a problem with that.
True. As
I've been on a soapbox now and really belaboring a point, beating it to hell, and probably lost all our listeners. I'm sorry. We just all have to get together on that and do it. And I know everybody's taste varies, but it is what it is. But we do have to take our break. I did that rant. I'll get myself some water and calm down, and then when we come back, we'll go talk about some more On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients. Folks, we'll be right back. Take our next little segment with a light heart and enjoy. We'll be back right after this.
They're eating the dogs. Whoa, 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 whoa. They're eating the cats. Meow, 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 meow. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. Whoa, 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 whoa. They're eating the cats. Meow, 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 meow. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
News team, assemble!
I've been part of this investigation since the very beginning, and that has never been raised.
You're sure?
Yes.
It wasn't a space laser?
No.
It wasn't a murder hornet?
Absolutely not.
It wasn't Sasquatch?
No, Senator.
It was a bullet?
It was a bullet, Senator. 100%.
Fired by crooks?
Yes, sir.
That hit President Trump in the ear and almost killed him?
100%, Senator.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
Wait, what? It wasn't a space laser, murder hornet, or a Sasquatch? For crying out loud, I'm going to have to crumple up that screenplay. Anyway, speaking about filmmaking, yes, like we were talking about Sasquatch, but filmmaking brothers David and Nathan Zellner have been obsessed with Bigfoot since childhood, when the elusive woodland creature entered their imaginations. Their lifelong infatuation inspired them to create Sasquatch Sunset, a 90-minute dialogue-free movie about a family of Sasquatch living in a Pacific Northwest forest. Of course, one of the cast members is Jesse Eisenberg. You may all remember him, but the characters emote a grunt under heavy prosthetic makeup and fur-covered bodysuits in a mundane yet curious portrayal of everyday life. Now, Sasquatch Sunset is a provocation even by the brothers' standards. The creatures do everything you'd expect to see animals do if you were in the woods studying them. But there were reports of walkouts at this year's Sundance Film Festival in reactions to scenes of the creatures partaking in routine mammalian bodily functions. We knew it was going to be divisive, David says, but it's interesting to hear what some people are shocked by. I bet they have no problem seeing a horror movie of the week where humans are getting eviscerated. David Zellner goes on to say, in the 1970s, there was a Bigfoot craze. There still is, David. We watched that show In Search of and were mesmerized with the Bigfoot episode. And then there was a lot of ape in cinemas that we were exposed to. For example, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yes, that's how the movie starts, is with the apes. That was a main one. But also Planet of the Apes. And then maybe even Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood and an orangutan. Of course, Chaka from the Land of the Lost. He was huge for us. Listen, folks, if you've seen the movie, we'd love to hear it in the comments section, wherever you want to comment at the Sasquatch Experience, and you give us your Rotten Tomato review. I haven't seen it yet, and again, if you've seen it, please do share. When we come back, we're going to talk about the half-light.
You're listening to the Bigfoot Bullhorn right here on the Sasquatch Experience.
It's not gawkers, it's got knockers. Hey, have you been to the Squatchfield site on the interweb that has it all? Introducing gotknockers.org. Stop on by for an intriguing story of the encounter that started it all. But wait, there's more. Got Knockers offers some fabulous merchandise like t-shirts, hoodies, onesies for the baby, plus a stunning array of jewelry and some fantastic sauces that will make your taste buds dance. But the coolest of all is a genuine Got Knockers tree knocker. Stop on by and say hi to the folks of Got Knockers, Gwendolyn and Michael Purcell. Get in on the action and just visit gotknockers.org. Again, gotknockers.org. Well, if you know, you know. September 21st and 22nd, it's the Mothman Festival. It is an annual event held every third weekend in September that commemorates the 1966 Point Pleasant, West Virginia Mothman sightings, which gave birth to the infamous red-eyed winged legend. And people from all over the world gather around the charming Main Street to celebrate their favorite cryptid during this one-of-a-kind event. The festival does offer attractions and events, vendors, and believe me, there's plenty of vendors, cosplay, so if you have that special cosplay costume or outfit you want to wear, bring it along. Live bands on the Ohio River, guest speakers, and of course, TNT bus tours. And you cannot leave there without visiting the infamous one and only Mothman Museum. Again, that's September 21st and 22nd in downtown Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Thanks again for listening to this edition of the Bigfoot Bullhorn right here on the Sasquatch Experience. Gentlemen,
Until we meet again,
keep your toes in the mud.
Thanks, Vance, for that interesting Bigfoot bullhorn. Folks,
Speaking of Gwendolyn, today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Gwendolyn.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Gwendolyn.
birthday!
happy birthday, Gwen, like a big sister to me. Again, great person, puts together the Central Pennsylvania Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival, third one coming August 9th, 2025. Mark your calendars now to be a part of that great event in Elysburg, Pennsylvania. That was an unintended plug. And
Yeah, but it was well worth it.
right. And of course, for as little as $2 a month,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can support us here at the Sasquatch Experience. We got some great content loaded up and great content coming for you, as particularly as we start getting into the more cooler months where Matt and I spend a lot of time out in the field getting the research done. But then we've got some festivals and conferences that we've got that we're going to be attending. But tonight's show isn't about those fun things. It's about On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients, and the topics that were spurred therein. My little rant, which I apologize, went on a little longer than I anticipated, but I'll drop my filibuster and Matt, go ahead and take it away with some points you wanted to make there.
So we were talking about the missing people cases, and I've handled a few of these missing persons cases with my profession in law enforcement, and there's a certain respect you have to have with the family, and there's different approaches that you go through, when you're doing these searches for people. Now, most of the time, we don't have that wilderness search. We're having people that are going into an urban area. And so we do keep a certain respect and dignity for that family when we're doing this, because sometimes the results may not be what the family is looking for. But again, we have to approach that with that dignity, for the person and for the family themselves. I do know with some of these missing person cases, particularly in the wilderness areas, when we start bringing up different points that they may have walked into a different dimension, they may have been transported by something, they may have been chased by something. Again, we have to really try to provide the best answers we can for the family. We have a missing persons case from, it's not in my town, but a town close by. And the kid was actually on the phone before, with his last contact, saying that he was up in a tree and he had a pack of coyotes that were chasing him. And the kid had absolutely vanished from the face of the earth. The only thing, though, is with that particular area, there's a lot of deep shaft coal mines in that area. So they brought drones out that go into those mine shafts to try to find any sort of sign. But if we had someone come in here and say that, there's the possibility he was, lifted in the air by a UFO, again, that particular family may be heartbroken. They may be thrust into a light that they don't want to be in. So we really do have to take the account of the family when we do this sort of search for their missing relatives. And again, the biggest thing is to provide that family with dignity.
When you say drones, are you talking about four-wheel drive RC vehicles that go down into these cavernous areas, or are you actually talking about a flying vehicle that
No,
goes there?
these are actually they're kind of a cross between a submersible drone
Okay.
and a wheeled drone. So
Mm.
this was actually provided by the federal government, particularly those that work in mines with the search and rescue team, and they were able to provide it was tethered, but they were able to provide
Okay.
the drone to search, and I believe it had about 1,000 foot
Right.
basically tether
Okay.
to it. So it was able to get through quite a bit, but in that particular stretch of woods, there's quite a few mine shafts in that area, and there's some mine shafts. Most of these mine shafts are recorded, but there's some that aren't recorded. We call those wildcat mines, where maybe somebody knew that there was a coal seam somewhere, and the family kept it a secret, and they'd go down there and mine the coal. So without letting the big coal companies know. So you do have those throughout that area, but with that particular case, like I said, that person may be anywhere, but
Right.
if someone were to go through and say, hey, I think he stepped into another dimension, like I said, the family themselves, they're already grieving at the I won't say at the loss, but the fact that relative is missing.
The potential. I mean,
Yes,
I think it's natural for
right.
you know to go negative.
Absolutely.
As much as everybody wants you to be optimistic, very rarely does that optimism, shine through. It's a very depressing thing, and
Yes.
it's tragic. Because sometimes these don't always have good, happy endings, and
Sure.
But there's an interesting take to this. And I would say to Matt's point, there seems to, and I haven't really completed my thought on this statement, but it seems to me very interesting that there's something tethered in order to research to see if they can find something. This doesn't seem to be a science that has been perfected, but it was something that was thought about to say we need a drone that is tethered in order to see if we can find somebody that has turned up missing. This seems kind of in its infancy stage, but I find it really interesting that you brought that up, that no, this is a tethered piece of equipment that's being used.
Yep. Yeah, and unfortunately, like I said, it may not get into all of the areas where they're searching, and some of those mine shafts are extremely deep. So it may there may be somebody that's on another shelf, just to the right of it or to the left of it, that particular drone may not be able to see.
Yeah. But don't you think a person would get to a certain point where they say, yeah, that's far enough for me, I'm turning back? I don't see somebody going in further and further and further into an abyss, which they not really too sure on how to get back unless there was something drawing them into it.
Well, you make it that they have a choice. Accidents happen, and sometimes you're in those mines. The floor gives out. You lose traction pretty quickly, and you just become a victim of circumstance.
Yeah,
right?
Disorientation.
Wildcat, right?
Yep, disorientation is probably the number one, factor in a lot of these deaths, because of the fact that you're in a completely dark environment, and you may think that you're turning to the left, but you may actually, not have made that complete turn. You may think that you're turning around, and you may have gone just a few degrees over to the side, and you're not going to find your way out. We find that a lot with people that fall under the ice. Have very similar issues because of the fact that you can't see, and they're trying to find where they may have fell in the ice 5 feet away, but they're struggling because they're going 5 feet the other direction.
Right. And all this, we relevate back to reviewing the ancients because, there's a decent part of the, documentary where they're talking about missing people. And again, another area known for its caves and, vast stretches of, we could call it underdeveloped wilderness. Like it's not been touched by people, contaminated wilderness, I guess is whatever term you want to use. And, they did talk about, feral people and, potentially using the caves, and feral people being different from homeless people as a potentiality for, what Bigfoot could be. And we go into that, guys, as they go into the documentary, the term Bigfoot culturally is relatively new, like 1950 and on. Before that, it was stories of wild men and gorillas. Actually, I wonder when they started using the term gorilla. Henry, maybe you know that, because even that is still a little bit more of a more modern term. Well, you start talking about some of those legend stories, Henry. They touched on that pretty well, don't you think?
They did. As far as the name gorilla, I think that name came about for possible Sasquatch in the 1800s, sometime in the 1800s, after the gorilla was discovered around 1848 or 1847, whatever it was. Well, it was one of those years.
Henry, you're letting us down. You're supposed to be the encyclopedia, damn it. Damn, but they talked about, of course, Dennis Martin, which we talked about in, detail here on the show, and the different thoughts and, the what people saw that was reported, and not notated, which was very interesting. Again, we could go back to feral people, but would feral people not be a good explanation for Bigfoot creatures? Like, would that make it any less? I guess maybe it would make it less cryptozoological, but have we nailed these feral people down to really study them a little bit and find out what the hell they are? Where they're from, why they're choosing this existence? Have they gone backwards in the mental, capacity of modern living standards, or are they really something just a little bit different? Like, what's the definition? I don't want to find out because I saw this really bad episode of American Horror Stories revolving around a missing person, and it really freaked me out for being completely fictional. It scared the shit out of me, and I really don't want to be. It's about the park ranger in one of the observation towers, and a missing person. And it's something else. It's something else. Yep. But again, then you got Trenny Gibson and Mike Herron, which I wasn't familiar with the Mike Herron disappearance. I'm still not too quite familiar with it. Adam Davies talked about it a little bit, and again, we always focused on Dennis Martin quite a bit. There's other people, though, that do deserve their due diligence and in the reporting of what happened to them and their disappearances. So maybe as we progress down through this and inspired a little bit more by On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients, we do a little bit more investigating into some, missing people. Just because we're a Bigfoot show doesn't mean we can't really look into some serious topics that are worth examination. We are more than Bigfoot. We are Bigfoot, cryptids, mysteries, and conspiracies, or whatever the hell the new tagline is that we've come up with that we very rarely promote. What else you guys got on it? Henry, other thoughts that you've had on the documentary? Like, you were, as soon as you got that, man, you were on it, and you were super stoked. Like, when we had to cancel last week, I thought you were going to drive up here and hit me. You were ready for this show.
I was ready. I wanted to talk to Seth about all this, but obviously we haven't been able to lock him down for the show. But
we're gonna have to do a pre-record with Seth because Monday nights don't work out so well. So we're gonna do a pre-record, and we'll make it work for the listeners. Don't worry, we'll make it work for us. We'll make it work for Seth.
Sounds good.
Because I know you really want to get on that topic. Vance, Matt, any final topics on? Any final thoughts?
I would say on a final thought, once you, if you do watch this, and I would encourage you to watch this, get past the first maybe 10 minutes to understand what the intro is. But once you get past that, I think it's a very intriguing documentary, and you're going to learn a lot more than what you probably know already. And that's the big value of what I took away from this, is that I took away a lot more than what I knew 20 minutes before I started watching it.
Loaded with information, loaded with fantastic story. I guess I don't have, much more to say on it besides it was long. It was about 2 hours. It was worth, well, maybe a little over 2 hours, worth every moment I invested in it.
And it's a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon.
It's movie length, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it is, and it's well done. It looks good. The talking heads they have it are anything but boring. Take a chance, watch it, enjoy it, and then let us know what you think in the comments below.
Please
on our
do.
YouTube channel. You can find us everywhere.
Pretty well. It does flow pretty well.
It does.
It's almost 2.5 hours, but it just flies by.
Most, and I'm going to say this, is with really anything from STM, it's high quality, and just the flow of how the documentaries and the movies go through is just it's a great pace, and really I can't say enough of good things about their productions out there.
Right. And that's what we have on it. I'm sure Henry's got his written review. I'll post my written review in the Patreon and on Amazon. If you folks watch it, do the folks at STM a favor and leave them a written review. Help them promote it, just like we asked you to do for us.
Right.
Rate us and review us. We have one knucklehead that really likes to leave us a bad review every show. I don't know if I punched his mom years ago or whatever I did.
There's always one.
I know, but this
Who
person
cares?
keeps coming back, and they like the. Yeah, well, it's until it keeps driving our ratings down and throws us down the algorithm.
Who cares?
I do.
There's a
and you should,
knucklehead.
and you should care about ratings too, Vance.
Yeah, I do, but I don't care about one individual.
Well, one individual makes a difference. And so folks out there that are listening, please do us a favor and overcome that one person. Rate us and review us, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Leave us a thumbs up or a middle finger, whatever you need to do. Just make sure you're giving us feedback, because the show is for you, the listeners. We thank you for bearing with us, going through another one of my rants. And just coming back after a few weeks to join us. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. Well, not next week, the week after, with another program. We've got some exciting shows coming up for, especially if you're a fan of Bigfoot books. We're going to have some good authors joining us to talk about.
There's one quick thing I want to plug, and that's a channel and a website called Bigfoot Forensics.
Yes, very good, Henry.
You guys should check it out. If you haven't checked it out already, it's BigfootForensics.com.
There you have it. BigfootForensics.com.
Bigfoot Forensics. So
Henry, why don't you do us a favor, my friend? Take us out with those dulcet tones.
Y'all be good or be good at it.
There you have it, folks. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Sasquatch Experience. Please rate and review where this podcast has been consumed. To share your experience, visit us on Facebook, our website, or email us info@sasquatchexperience.com. Keep on squatching.